Hey, Joe.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm terrific. And that is a nice looking t-shirt you've got there, sir.
Oh, this. Well, thank you. It's a. I like the color, and may I say yours is quite
Yes,
complimentary as
thank
well.
you. It suits my palate as well.
It does.
Where did you get it?
Why, as a matter of fact, this is our new everyday night shirt with the logo on the front and
And
list of virtues and their website URL on the back. But, these are not just for us.
what? What do you say?
Yes, yes. It's amazing, isn't it?
It
That
is.
such a fancy shirt could be yours.
And for free.
Yes.
Well,
How?
there's a tiny cost.
Yes. And what is that?
Well, we're doing this as a promotion. We are so strapped for ideas. We're going to you to help us. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to how are we going to have them contact us, Joe?
Well,
Comment on the YouTube video.
comment on the YouTube video or on the YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
I think that would be the best way to do
Okay.
that.
Very good.
And
And
what
you-
are we asking them to comment?
We are asking them to suggest a topic for one of our discussions.
I think that's a great idea.
We are coming up on our 100th episode number 100, right? And we are planning to do the drawing and announce the winners
At the end
at the end of that video.
of our 100th episode.
Okay, so between now and then, you send us your suggestions. If we use your suggestion, you will get one of these fabulous t-shirts, probably in black. Or if you have a color that we can easily find, give us a second choice.
And that I think this is a wonderful and terrific idea, but I don't think it goes far enough.
Well, what would you suggest, sir?
I'm
all ears.
I would suggest that from everyone who comments on one of our videos between now and the 100th episode, that we randomly choose a name, and that person also gets a t-shirt.
Okay. So are we going to have them comment on this video that they've just watched?
They can comment on this one that's upcoming because
Oh, they're watching it now.
they're watching it now. And
And this is episode 98.
90,
Right?
97, 98, 90. It's somewhere up in there. And
Okay.
on this one, the next one, and then the 100th episode. Well, they can't because we'll be
The 100th is where we will announce the
right.
winner.
So in the next couple of 2-3 episodes, comment from everybody who comments. We will randomly choose someone. So the 2 t-shirts we'll be giving away.
Great. This is terrific. So we are all encouraged and invited to make that comment. Even if it's a ridiculous comment, go ahead and put it in there. You might get a shirt out of it.
Yes.
And it might not be as ridiculous as you think, or it may not even be as ridiculous as one we've already done. So,
So with that, I think we will proceed to our evening's discussion. So
Okay.
thank you, everybody. We'll be looking for your suggestions and your topics and your comments.
good luck.
Yep. See you soon. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff, 'tis the season, as the
Okay.
saying goes.
I got decked in the hall the other day, and that's how we start. That's the song, right? Yeah.
Did they ring your jingle bells?
I did see a
La
partridge.
la 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 la.
I did see a partridge in a pear tree, or well, it was several. They were flying around my head.
I saw an article that speculated or claimed that all of the gifts of the 12 days of Christmas were forms of birds. All of them.
Okay,
The pipers piping were a type of bird.
like a sandpiper.
Yeah, something like that. So it was so that the person actually ends up with lots of birds. So
8 maids a milking.
I don't know, but that does in some ways lead into archaic definitions. Does somewhat lead into our topic for tonight, because we're going to be talking about the concepts of charity, because it is the season where that often comes up as a subject.
Right, and we're all getting requests for it in our mail and on our phones right now.
Yeah,
because apparently this is when you're supposed to be generous.
well, yeah.
Right now, and
I blame Dickens.
Yeah, well, we can blame Dickens for a lot of things.
Yeah,
but yeah, and it works for us. We one of our selected virtues obviously was generosity.
Yes,
and charity, medievally at least, was considered a virtue in and of itself.
Well, certainly largesse, but charity, and we will get into this. What do we mean by charity? As in everything, it's important to define our terms before we begin discussing.
And terms change.
And another thing that's important to talk about before we begin, perhaps you have a libation of some sort this evening. Pray tell, what would it be?
Well, you might be shocked to learn that I have bourbon.
I'm
but then you might not.
Shocked.
I have a 1792 small batch bourbon with a bit of Fever Tree ginger ale and a splash of aromatic bitters.
Nice.
Yourself, sir?
I have a cocktail.
Ooh. Indeed.
Called an Autumn Ash. It's Scotch. Calls for a blended Scotch, but I don't have any of those, so I used Glenfiddich.
Okay.
Scotch, apple brandy, a little bit of elderflower liqueur. I use Saint Germain. Orange bitters.
Okay.
Shaken with ice, strained into a coupe, and then express a lemon peel over it.
Yeah. Very nice.
So thank you. So here's to you.
Your help.
And I must say, it's tasty, but that is a strong drink. That is all alcohol.
Yeah, I was going to say that is just liquor on top of liquor right there.
Yeah, that sure is.
The only thing to cut it is a lemon peel, and that's not much.
Yeah. Even bitters, I think, has a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah, it does, because it's basically an essential oil, but it's alcohol.
Exactly. So then, I'm feeling charitable.
Yeah.
Because this is my second one this evening. So, so the word charity, as it currently stands, current understanding of it, actually derives, as I understand it, from the Latin caritas. Well, from the Latin through Old French, which was charité, to charity, but starting with caritas. And caritas was the translation in Greek of Greek Latin translation of the Greek word agape. And agape in more modern translations of the New Testament is translated as simply as love rather than charity. But the Greek concepts of love, there were seven different types of love. Eros, romantic love; philia, friendly love; agape, universal love; ludus, flirtatious love or playful love; storge, I think it's pronounced familial love.
It's love of garages.
Yeah. Pragma, committed love; and philautia, self-love. So it was one type of love, but somehow got translated into charity.
Well, I think
universal love.
Well, and medievally, the charity meant from that original meaning, universal love is also medievally as God's love, because God is all, right? So that I can see why that translation was used to mean that thing, because it's a universe. It is is love itself. It's not just a love for something. It's the concept itself of love. And in particular, by the Christian use by this time medievally, agape, as in my reading, I saw and I'm not sure if the pronunciation is agape or agape, because I
don't know.
I thought I saw the accent on the first syllable at least once, but not important. But there is the love of man that is your striving towards God. And then there's also the sort of the opposite. It is God's love being expressed through you to man. So it's this sort of two-way thing, which makes the translation obviously difficult.
And it's really interesting to me, because Christian charity is conceptually different in a lot of ways from what I learned as tzedakah, which is righteousness.
Yes.
The Hebrew conception, Jewish conception of charity. There isn't a standalone word for charity. It's tzedakah, which it's become used to mean charity, but it really derives from tzaddik, which is righteousness. So it was thought that part of being a righteous person was being charitable.
Yes.
And I think in a lot of ways that has more in common with largesse than with charity, because it's viewed as the responsibility of being a person. Being a righteous person means you give and you're charitable.
Right.
So I think there's a difference there in that.
And I think that we've taken on a definition of charity as a helpful, the idea is to help someone. It's not just giving. It's not just unburdening yourself of worldly possession, right? It's giving to someone. And you forwarded to me this document, Maimonides.
Moses ben Maimon, 12th century sage, known as Maimonides, also known as the Rambam, which I
dig.
But it's an acronym for Rabbi Moses ben Maimon. It's an acronym, Rambam.
And I found an interesting connection between Rambam, which sounds like a 50s bebop. And Tzedakah, made famous, of course, by Neil
Tzedakah, right? Yeah. There you go.
But what a connection, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Neil Sedaka's Jewish, so anyway. But Maimonides said all kinds of cool shit. I mean, really,
right.
very, very wise, very prolific, very influential scholar. He enumerated 8 levels of giving from the lowest to the highest. And the lowest level, level 8, the person who's giving, the donor, is pained by the act of giving. They find it, they don't enjoy it. They're pained by it.
Right. They feel obliged to do it.
Right. And they do it, but it hurts. Right.
Right.
The level 7, they give less than they should.
Which is funny because you often hear the give till it hurts.
Right. Right.
So if it hurts, if any giving hurts, I've done it. I did it. I'm done.
Yeah. Which always makes me think of this. It's a delightful little movie with Michael J. Fox. He's a concierge in a hotel. I can't remember.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of it, but he does things for people, and he has ambitions to like
open his own hotel.
And he does this thing for a guy arranging like this perfect anniversary thing, and he says, and the guy wants to tip him. He says, no, wait till it's over, and then you will tip me more, so much that it will hurt. And so, but the guy does so cheerfully, and it doesn't hurt, and then actually ends up financing his hotel venture. So level 7, the donor gives less than he should, but does so cheerfully. Hey kid, here's $1, with a smile,
Okay. But keep the change, kind of.
Right. The next level, the donor gives after being asked, and the level above that, the donor gives without being asked.
Right.
The level above that, so level 4, the recipient knows the donor, but the donor does not know the recipient.
Which made those 4 and 3 seemed opposite to me.
Yeah, I agree. The donor knows the recipient, but the recipient does not know the donor is higher. So I give something to somebody. I know who's getting it, but they don't know who's giving it. I think that's higher because you're not asking for credit for it. You're not doing it to get any credit, acknowledgement, thanks, anything.
Right. But you know the person.
But you know the person. So the next highest level, neither the donor nor the recipient know each other.
No, the next highest level is the opposite, is the donor knows.
Yeah, I mentioned that one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Right.
Then a little confusing.
Higher than that, neither the donor nor the recipient know each other.
Right, which is like giving to a cause.
Right. Then, so it makes me think of like those charitable ads you see on television where donate and you'll get a letter from a child in somewhere. Well, no, I don't want that because then I'll know who got it and I don't want to know. Right. But the highest level is when the donor gives the recipient the means to become self-supporting so that they no longer need giving and they can give to others.
Right. Teaching a man to fish. Right.
Right. So that's the highest level.
Yeah. And it's, the donor knows the recipient, but the recipient does not know the donor. And but like I said, the 3 and 4 seem to be swapped for me. And you bring up the getting a letter back from somebody. I donated to Save the Whales years ago. I did not get a letter from a whale, and I was somewhat disappointed.
Actually, didn't you get a recording? I got a recording.
Did you really? No, somebody told me that they were going to put a plaque on one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you didn't. You had to listen to it underwater,
Oh,
like to that Harry Potter, the egg
yeah,
thing. You know, you had to listen to it underwater. Maybe that was it.
that could be.
So go soak your head.
Good advice.
Thank you.
I'll start with this drink. I'm going to soak this my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Started.
I know it's also traditional in Jewish tradition that some occasions, special occasions, are thought of as opportunities for additional giving.
Sure.
But it's interesting because there's a difference here. Generally, the couple being married in a Jewish wedding gives to charity to symbolize the sacred nature of their wedding.
Right.
I remember going to, I think they were Catholic weddings, and the reception, and maybe it was a Catholic thing, a Christian thing, a Polish thing, I don't know, because they were Polish Catholics. Okay. And I remember it was $1 to dance with the bride.
Yeah.
And I thought, that was really odd.
Yeah, that's a Protestant thing too.
Is it? I'm unfamiliar to me. I've seen it before, but it was there. And I understand that, they get gifts. You give them gifts and stuff, but it was different, Yeah,
it's always struck me as kind of weird and prostitutive.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but it was kind of odd. I think that there are other ways than money, however, to express the concept of, I'll call it giving. You might say charitable giving, but giving. Mm-hmm. I think one of the highest forms of giving is our time. Giving of our time. Yeah. What's that?
Certainly in these days of full schedules and everybody's busy all the time.
Right. There are people I know who I could call and say, I need to talk to you or I need help right now. And they would drop everything. And I would do the same for some people I know too. I think that is because time is so precious. I think that is an expression of, I don't want to call it charity. It's giving. It's generosity. It's
right. Sure.
I think that kind of giving is. People tend to think of charity as separate from humanity. It's instead of or a thing that you do instead of an integral part of who you are. And
right. Well, and there's being charitable. You can be charitable in lots of different ways. You can be charitable in your outlook. You can be charitable in your treatment of animals. You can be charitable,
right?
All kinds of ways without opening your wallet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly, especially if your wallet doesn't have anything in it.
My parents and I used to, when I was growing up, we would volunteer to work in the kitchen of a hospital on Christmas Day so that people who worked there who were Christians could go spend the day with their family.
Huh.
Now, we couldn't take the place of trained medical personnel, but we could sure prepare food. So that's what we did. And I thought that was, I thought that was a great example from my parents. And I thought that was a great thing to do. There's always a question about whether altruism exists. do you genuinely do something out of just pure generosity, or do you get a little buzz from it as well? You know, do you get that
Yeah.
you're verklempt, you know, you get that feeling you do that because it feels good to do it too. Well, I don't think it matters if the
Exactly.
result.
Exactly what I was going to say. Maybe it does, and it should. If it doesn't, what kind of a human are you? If you
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
if you don't get something, if you don't feel something by helping someone else,
Yeah.
if it's like here you go, and you get nothing back, you get nothing at all from it, you're hollow inside somehow. So sure, it's all right, and it's all right to feel good about helping somebody else. And if that's your motivation for doing it, who cares?
Yeah.
It's
The result is
done.
yeah. Years ago, I don't know where I was going. I was driving on the highway. It was at night, and I was driving down the highway. I saw a car that was off the side of the road and some ladies standing there. So I pulled off. I stopped. I went back to the car. It was like four or five women. It was multiple generations. It was like the grandmother, the mother, the daughters, right? And they had a flat tire. And I said, "Can
This
I
isn't going
help?"
to turn into a forum story, is it?
No.
Okay. All right. No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were doing so well.
Wow. Wow. I have those stories, but I don't.
But we're not going to share them here.
No. I don't share them with anybody. Those go in my memoirs to be published posthumously. Yeah.
Long after yours and Marilee's death.
Yeah. So I asked them if I could help. They said, "Well, we can't. We're unable to change that." It was dark. It was raining too.
Right.
So I said, "I got this." So, I went back to my car and got the good jack, the
four-way wrench. Oh, a four-way wrench, you mean?
Yeah. Which I keep in the car because this stupid little wrenches they have in a lot of cars don't work very well. So I did that, jacked up the car, did that, changed the tire. It was great. They said, and I think the grandma said, can we offer you money? I said, no, really. Thank you. Said, well, why did you stop? So many cars went by. I said, well, how often does a man get to be a knight in shining armor and come to the rescue of a group of beautiful ladies, which just they loved? And they said, well, is there anything I can do for you? I said, pass it on. Really, it's my pleasure to do this. I'm glad I was here. I'm glad I could help. Pass it on. So I put their tire back on. I got it on the road, and I felt great about it. I was soaking wet, and got in my car, and I felt great about it. I stopped further up and got a cup of coffee, and it was all good. And I hope they remember, and I hope they passed it on. And but that to me was a kind of giving. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. I helped them. They went on their way. All good. And so,
guys, I stopped once on the way back from. It was the way back from Penzic, might have been, and there was I was the fifth or sixth car. I could see this car sitting off on the side of the road. I had to be the fifth or sixth car that went past, or that would have gone past. But it was this young woman holding a baby, standing in front of her car with the hood up.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, and she's just standing. You can tell by her posture. She's trying to keep the baby quiet, but she's just staring in despair at her engine compartment. So I pulled over, and I'm kind of nervous because, like, what, how many scenarios are running through her head right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't walk right up to her. I walked around the back of my car and I asked, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help?"
Yeah,
And she said, "Well, my car just quit. I don't know what's wrong with it." And I said, "Do you mind if I step over?" And I walked over to her, and she
yeah,
said, "Yes, sure." I walked over, and then I introduced myself,
yeah,
and I said, "Well, what happened before it quit?" And I could, from her description, I could tell. I don't remember what it was now. This was many years ago, but it wasn't something like her fan belt broke or or overheating or something like that I could fix.
right.
So I said, "Well, I know that there is a service station up the road with a tow service, because I had actually used it before on my way to Penzic one year."
Hmm.
And I said, "Can I give you a lift there so that you can?" This is before cell phones, before.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and she looked at me and she hesitated for a moment, and I had taken the keys out of my car, and I said, "You can drive. You can drive my car to the service station." And she looked at me and she looked at the keys and she said, "No, I think it's okay." And so she and the
Yeah.
baby got in. She couldn't leave the kid, right? So she
Right.
sat, and I took her over there, and I dropped her off, made sure that the attendants were going to take care of her, and I just left. But
Yeah.
but that was a weird situation even then.
Yeah. It's, and I mean, we have to understand that it's not like the days of The Day the Earth Stood Still, that great movie with Michael Rennie and Patricia Neal, where she lets, he's in the boarding house, right? He's a stranger, but she lets her son go off with him for the day,
Yeah.
right? The world is not as trusting, nor in a lot of ways should it be, I think. Um, um, yeah, I was on my motorcycle once. I went out every beginning of every motorcycle season. I'd go out to the mall and practice, get the feel back in the mall
Okay.
parking lot. And it was turned night, and I saw a woman with her car and the hood up, and she obviously didn't know what, she obviously couldn't go. So I rode up to her. She hopped back in her car and rolled the window up, and I said, can I help you? Said, no. I said, why don't I go get mall security? And so I did, and brought them back to her. I realized here was this guy on a motorcycle in black leather with
Yep.
that she couldn't. I was scary, right? But she was appropriately cautious, and I
Yes.
think that's a good idea. But when you see things that you can do something about, that is a kind of generosity, charity, largesse. It's not simply the giving of money
Right.
that makes somebody charitable, generous, or an exemplar of the virtue of largesse in the way they do things.
Right. Especially if you're doing it as a tax write-off.
Yes. And there are people who have been enormously generous with their ill-gotten gains, with the profits of their predatory capitalism, in order to redeem their reputations.
Right.
And there are organizations like museums and symphonies and others who are now saying, we don't want anything more to do with these people, like the Sacklers, who have given to so many museums and stuff, but they also promoted what became the oxy epidemic, or
Right.
that whole thing. So,
Opioid.
opioid epidemic. So
Now, now I say we had this conversation once before on the show about, I don't care if somebody's money, if you don't think that their money was righteously gained, and but they're willing to give it to you, freaking take it.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
and do something good with it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to, and in fact, if it's required, I would say maybe you want to step away from it, but don't let them use it to, as you say, repair a reputation or aggrandize themselves. If they want to give, take it. If they want something back for it, walk off. Just sorry. Nope, it's not worth it. So, somebody wants to give anonymously, great. And I don't care what you do on your taxes, but we're not putting your name up on anything. And, that's different from, your high school football team being sponsored by the local hardware store and they put their names on you know what I mean?
That's transactional.
It is, and that's okay.
Sponsorship, but it's advertising,
It's not, it is, but it's not really advertising. You can write it off as advertising.
Yeah.
But not every business does it. And so I give some credit to the local store that supports the local team, whether or not they have a kid on the team.
Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you get your plumbing service put up on a banner in the outfield. Okay. It's not going to double your business, that donation. But it's a donation.
Yeah. I do think that there are resources online where people can investigate charities.
Yeah.
Regulated charities. And people need to be suspicious. I, for one, will not give to the bell ringers with their little red buckets.
Salvation Army.
Because they're a blatantly homophobic organization. Despite their efforts to repair that, or their denials of it, it's true. And I won't give anything to them. I won't toss. And I don't blame the people ringing bells. They are trying to do a good thing, as they understand it, but I won't give to that organization.
No,
I do think about Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter, may her memory be a blessing, who she has just passed away recently. And President Carter is in hospice care. Mm-hmm. They absolutely lived up to their understanding of what it meant to be a good person, a charitable person. Good for them.
Oh, yeah.
Great examples for people, I think.
And Habitat for Humanity, which is the charity that he worked for, is
she created a foundation for mental health awareness and treatment. She also, and I only learned this because she, in her obituary, she completely revolutionized, changed, reformed, restructured the office of the First Lady.
Really?
She did. She had hired a chief of staff. She hired a staff. She completely changed the way that was done and made it a professional office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that you could accomplish things outside of mere force of personality.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. I was not aware of that.
Yeah. So, in this holiday season, as a comment that would enrage some people, yeah, but it is, and that's been said that for a long time.
Yeah.
I think I don't think that people should only be charitable, generous, giving, kind at a particular time of year, but I think the value of this time of year is that it reminds people that they shouldn't be dicks.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we could call this Happy Holidays, Don't Be a Dick season. Right.
Sure.
Yeah. I think we need a Don't Be a Dick carol for, right. Deck the halls.
Yeah, I'm not the person to write it, but
deck the halls with "Don't be a dick" time. Blah 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 blah. And
okay.
It's okay.
Go ahead. You keep working on that one.
I'll keep working on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like you say, there's a value in having a season where we are reminded that this is a good thing to do, and I wish it was more of, hey, you don't just have to do it around Christmas.
Yeah.
That we can. I'm certainly, as I've proved over and over again on this show, that I'm not a religious person. Christmas, put the X back in Xmas, as far as I'm concerned. But although I did also find, if we're talking about that for a moment, that the Xmas is actually an older, very Christian way, because it represents the Chi-Rho, and that is the Christian, and the Chi is an X.
If you expect historical knowledge, understanding, awareness from people who are true believers of any sort, and fanatics of any sort, you will be disappointed.
Oh, I don't. I'm just throwing it out there for anybody else who wants ammunition about Xmas, because I'm down for Xmas.
Yeah.
I try not to limit being charitable to the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the goal, right? We're trying to be this good all the time. And as you say, this reminds us to do it. But if you're always reminding yourself, hopefully you don't need a reminder.
Yep. I will raise a glass to that.
All right.
Here. And best of the season to you.
And to you as well.
Thank you. And I think we have covered this.
I think we have. I don't know that we've shared some interesting knowledge here, and people want to dig deeper into Moses ben Maimon.
Yes, Maimonides, the Rambam.
Yep, the Rambam. The guy that calls himself he didn't call himself Rambam, but if everybody hey man, it's Rambam, I want to party that dude.
He was probably the life of the party.
Yo, Rabbi, what up? Rabbi Moses. Sounds like a hard partier to me.
I think so. I think he was. Yeah.
I think a lot of the great philosophers, in the Monty Python song says.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back in the 12th century, well, he's a rabbi, so he could.
As you know, I'm working on this book, which is a history of a comedy show. And one of the sketches that's been described to me sounds absolutely hysterical. And they called it the Philosophy OD Hotline. And it was in the,
Okay.
these people manning a hotline, and somebody calls up and says, "Man, I'm really struggling here. You know, I'm having this. I've been reading Sartre, and I'm having this existential crisis." And then Hegel, he says, like, and the guy says, "No, man, it's okay. I'll talk you down. First of all, have you considered Wittgenstein?" And then, and he goes on, and it's just hysterical. I think it's really funny.
There's a comic strip out there that's about philosophers and philosophy, and
I've seen it. Yeah,
discussions amongst each other, and then there's often little footnotes just saying why this person is saying that if you don't know.
Yeah.
So that somebody who's not a philosophy student might get the joke, I guess.
Yeah.
I always wondered, this makes me think, you always hear about clergy walking into a bar. What about a joke that's like a bartender walks into a synagogue? Or,
I'm going to work on that.
Okay. All right. There's a task for your holiday.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that. Yeah. Okay. There's something there.
Yeah.
That's a good reversal. I like it.
Yeah. It just came to me as something and you could go, walks into a synagogue.
Exactly.
Anything. Okay. Good luck with that one. I will be interested in hearing your what you come up with for that. Okay. So.
Well, I think that's it. And so thank you all for listening. If you have topics you'd like us to talk about, please let us know. Please like, share, and
please let us know, because we're working hard. The hardest work now for us is coming up with the next idea.
Well, and certainly as we approach our 100th.
Yeah, what are we at? 93 or 94 now?
Something around there.
Well, I think the last one you published was 93.
And we've got a couple more in the can, I think.
So we are counting down to 100. We can really use some new material.
And we'll have to figure out something special for our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So until next time, be thou
a good night
and true. So this is a reminder. Thank you for watching, but don't forget to post your comments and your suggestions for our next discussions.
Yep.
You can win a t-shirt. Thank you.
Good night.